abnormal, addict, alcoholic, antisocial, asocial, asexual, burden, barren, crazy, cripple, deaf, deformed, disabled, deviant, drunk, draft dodger, dumb, dysfunctional, freeloader, gypsy, handicapped, homeless, idiot, ill, insane, invalid, lesbian, lame, lazy, lunatic, maniac, midget, mute, mutant, pansy, pathetic, poor, psycho, prostitute, pre-existing condition, retarded, spinster, unfit, unsettled, unsuitable, unusual, unstable, uncontrollable, unrelenting, Which one am I? We're in a room that's called the elimination room. It's a map. It's a map of generations. Who are not allowed to live. It's a map of generations. Of people like us. Who are artists. And writers. I want to ask to all the Crips, the disabled, the handicapped in the room, which one of those names have you been called? Did you ever think of those as medical terms? What's the line between a slur and a medical term? When someone makes fun of you, are they wishing your death? Or are they making a joke? Do they know where the joke comes from? For all the queers in the room, have you ever been called any of these names? When someone makes a joke, are they asking you to laugh along? Or are they telling you you're wrong for existing as you are? What's happening in this exhibition is the creation of a history, of a narrative that us Crips, us queer Crips, can have and tell each other and tell ourselves, so that we're not working against erasure and emptiness, generation after generation, so that we might even like who we are, so that we can take these words and own them. Even if there are a lot of things we can't own, like how we're medicalized or objectified. When I'm waiting for the bus, if I'm tired, I plant my crotch on my cane like this, and I'm holding bags of groceries and things like this. And I don't even think about it, I just think my crotch is convenient as a way to rest on my cane. I don't think that I'm being deviant or perverse with what I'm doing. I don't even think about it until people start staring at me. It's usually men who are staring at me. And, that just kind of makes me want to use this cane differently than utility, a little bit. So maybe I get a little bit aroused while I'm waiting for the bus with bags of groceries on my arm. and I don't need anyone to help me enjoy myself in public. Like I don't need that right now. Masturbating on my cane in the elimination room. Everyone who's laughing is on the inside of this joke. And everyone who's not, maybe you'll become an ally one day. This is enjoyable to me right now. Even having an audience for it's a little bit enjoyable too. But then, if I was doing this in 1941, around the year my father was born, this would have made me a deviant entirely. Just this. Just a cripple pleasuring themselves while waiting for the bus. This would have erased me from the street. And then my form of sociality would have been a care center, which would have meant my death. We're in a museum, which is an institution. We're in the Schwules, so we think that this is a safe space to be as queers, and a little bit as Crips. It's just the beginning of our entry. But institutions are not our home. They're places where we're forced to go to hide who we are. They're also places where we learn to know ourselves. But I want us to learn to know ourselves and to get to know each other outside of these places, outside of this museum even. I'd like us to go to places where we're not supposed to go, with our bodies and with each other. So I'll ask you now if you will go down this corridor to the other room. There are seats set up for you. And as you go down the corridor, think about this room. Think about these words. Think about whether you would have been able to cross this threshold. And then you can turn around and wait for me on the other side. Go ahead. This is not just a hallway. It's a measurement of time. It's a question of how did we get from there to here? If eugenics would have us erased, how did we arrive here? Just a queer cripple doing average things. Can you hear the rain outside? Each of us is here now because in one way or another, we share a commitment to language and to the power of language and to the reclaiming of that language which has been made to work against us. In the transformation of silence into language and action, it is vitally necessary for each one of us to establish or examine her function in that transformation, and to recognize her role as vital within that transformation. For those of us who write, it is necessary to scrutinize not only the truth of what we speak, but the truth of that language by which we speak it. For others, it is to share and spread also those words that are meaningful to us. But primarily for us all, it is necessary to teach by living and speaking those truths which we believe and know beyond understanding. Because in this way alone, we can survive, by taking part in a process of life that is creative and continuing, that is growth. And it is never without fear of visibility, of the harsh light of scrutiny and perhaps judgment, of pain, of death. But we have all lived through all of those already. If you haven't been able to see the exhibition, to see what I am referencing, then you should stay in this room and watch it. To be honest, I didn't actually plan this very well because when Raymond Hoga died, it was just last year. And I had been doing so much mourning that I didn't even know how to begin to mourn him. But he's on the screen right behind us. And his picture is right there, right behind us. It feels like he's still here. And I feel strange imitating his movements because he's still here. Isn't he still here? I'm supposed to be making a gesture like I'm smoking a flower. but this is too big. I have said that before. And maybe so has Raymond. Again, a lot of this is just a queer Crip doing average things. I am still nauseous from the drugs. I've not been out of my apartment since Ian left on Saturday morning. Leaving the safety of my room, I discover I am still dizzy, unbalanced, when I go outside into the clear spring-like day. Winding my way through the garden's paths, I pass ponds, some lanterns, and waterfalls. When I cross the lake over the humped full moon bridge, I see how the bridge completes itself in its watered reflection. I make my way to the garden's northeast corner to see what I have come to see, the plum trees still in late blossom. Even from a distance, I can see the white, pink, and red blossoms. This brings back some of the ecstasy I felt when first seeing the plum blossoms in Atami, the day before I started taking the pills. The cheerfully colored flowers, the gnarled trunks and branches, and the fragrance in the air as I approach them seem to be the perfect antidote for the side effects caused by the medications. If only such a natural phenomenon as what I see before me could keep the virus itself at bay. But too soon, it is already past the middle of March. These blossoms will be gone, not only from the trees, but also from the ground where so many have fallen. Soon after, exactly when, we never quite know, there will be different blossoms, the traditional sakura, the celebrated cherry blossoms for which Japan is most known. Perhaps there might not be a distinct separation between before taking the pills and after. Is it hard to wait while you're watching me do average shit? It's really okay to just feel average about everything right now. Yourself and this room. So here I am at the Lucas Clinic while my body decides if it will live or die. I'm going to fight like hell to make it live, and this looks like the most promising possibility. At least it's something different from narcotics and other terminal aids, which is all Dr. C had to offer me in New York City in lieu of surgery when I told her how badly I hurt in my middle. Almost everything I eat now makes me sick, I told her. Yes, I know, she said, sorrowfully, writing me a prescription for codeine and looking at me as if there was nothing left she could do for me besides commiserate. Even though I like her very much, I wanted to punch her in the mouth. I have found something interesting in a book here on active meditation as a form of self-control. There are 6 steps. 1, control of thought. Think of a small object, i.e. a paper clip, for 5 minutes exclusively. Practice for a month. 2, control of action. Perform a small act every day at the same time. Practice and be patient. 3, control of feeling, equanimity. Become aware of feelings and introduce equanimity into experiencing them. For example, be afraid, but not panic-stricken. They're big on this one around here. 4, positivity. Refrain from critical downgrading thoughts that sap energy from good work. Five, openness. Perceive even what is unpleasant in an unfettered, non-prejudiced way. 6, harmony. Work toward balancing the other 5. That doesn't sound supportive to me. That sounds like telling you are responsible for your own sickness. That's my footnote to Audre Lorde. Beneath the terraces is a carefully tended European garden. Sculptured stone steps cut into one side winding back and forth through the low bushes and plantings throughout the grounds. In the grassy clearing in front of the terraces stands a red granite statue of a robed person with what I have come to think of as the Steiner look. Blunt and massive, one arm upraised in the eurythmic position for the vowel I, which is considered in all languages to be the sound representing the affirmation of self in living. On a slight knoll, the statue is silhouetted against the green trees or the leaden sky. Most of the patients are middle-aged Swiss and Germans, with 2 French women and myself. We all wear our own clothes. There is a large sitting room that contains a library and a chapel, of course, and appropriate Steiner reading materials always available. Everyone who works with patients gives off a similar affect. It is calm, kind, and helpful, but also completely dogmatic. There is a part of me that wants to dismiss everything here other than Iscador as irrelevant, or at least not useful to me, even before I try it. But then, that's why I came all this way. And what do I have to lose at this point? I'm ready to try anything. Could I have Kenny Freese come toward the platform, and Carrie Sandall also come toward the platform? Of course, I hadn't imagined a segue to this at all. And I don't know what to call this ritual. If I'm knighting you, but I wanted to thank you both for being ambassadors to generations of young disabled queers, queer Crips, and to thank you for building more than just even physical spaces for us to know our history. So I wanted to give you each these flowers. I wanted my cane to be able to touch your chairs. I'm sneaking it in. Thank you. In a way of speaking as a person who's a little bit younger, so gets away with saying something narcissistic. Without knowing each of you, I wouldn't know myself. And without having these spaces to reflect on that, I wouldn't know the gravity of what that means. But it also helps that you're both hot. Thank you for building this world that we get to be in. And I hope that after this specific world of Shula's ends, we get to still have spaces to be here together. So, thank you so much. I think everybody could clap for them. I'm going to read my last texts with you here. They are oceanic. Did you ever think? No. As endless as each person's search for acceptance is, the body's search for beauty. Like the ocean's water constantly being pulled to shore, the body is then pulled away, yet again, by an unseen force, you know only by getting close to it, immersing yourself in it, always being careful not to go out so far that you are pulled helplessly along. I do not know why. I do not know why. I do know that there was a tremendous amount of love and support flowing from me, from the women around me. And it felt like being bathed in a continuous tide of positive energies, even when sometimes I wanted a bit of negative silence to complement the pain inside of me. But support will always have a special and vividly erotic set of meanings for me now, one of which is floating upon a sea within a ring of women, like warm bubbles keeping me afloat upon the surface of that sea. I can feel the texture of inviting water just beneath their eyes, and do not fear it. It is the sweet smell of their breath and laughter and voices. Calling my name that gives me volition, helps me remember I want to turn away from looking down. These images flow quickly, the tangible floods of energy rolling off these women toward me, that I converted into power to heal myself. There is so much false spirituality around us these days, calling itself goddess worship or the way. It is false because too cheaply bought and little understood, but most of all because it does not lend, but rather saps that energy we need to do our work. So when an example of the real power of healing love comes along, such as this one, it is difficult to use the same words to talk about it, because so many of our best and most erotic words have been so cheapened. Perhaps I can say this all more simply. I say the love of women healed me. It was not only the women closest to me, although they were the backbone. There were those women whom I love passionately, and my other friends and my acquaintances, and then even women whom I did not know. In addition to the woman energy outside of me, I know that there must have been an answering energy within myself that allowed me to connect to the power flowing. One never really forgets the primary lessons of survival if one continues to survive. If it hadn't been for a lot of women in my lifetime, I'd have been long dead. And some of them were women I didn't even like. I had felt so utterly stripped at other times within my life for very different reasons, and survived, so much more alone than I was now. I knew if I lived, I could live well. I knew that if the life spark kept burning there would be fuel. If I could want to live, I would always find a way, and a way that was best for me. This is the end of the show. And thank you.